On July 22, 1962, an Atlas rocket carrying America's first Venus probe veered off course. A missing pin stroke had erased the math. NASA had built Mariner 1 in under a year. The 200-kilogram spacecraft was supposed to fly past Venus, measure its atmosphere, and settle the question of whether the planet's clouds hid an Earth-like surface or a furnace under runaway greenhouse heat. The Soviets had already lost two Venus probes in 1961, the most recent vanishing en route. The United States wanted the first real look at the second planet. The Atlas Agena B rocket sat on Launch Complex 12 at Cape Canaveral, Florida. The guidance equations driving the booster had been hand-copied from a mathematician's notebook into the rocket's flight code. Liftoff came in the pre-dawn dark. The Atlas climbed cleanly off the pad. Then the airborne rate beacon, an antenna mounted on the side of the booster, began performing below specification. The ground guidance computer lost its lock on the rocket's velocity signal. The flight should have switched to its internal backup equations and steered itself the rest of the way to orbit. Those backup equations contained one symbol called an overbar, a small horizontal line drawn above a variable, indicating that the variable was the smooth average of the raw signal. Without the overbar, the variable meant the raw signal itself, jittery and full of noise. The transcriber had left the overbar off a single character. The rocket began chasing every twitch. The Atlas Agena yawed left, then right, then started tipping toward the North Atlantic shipping lanes. Mission Control watched the trajectory drift on the plot board. The booster was carrying enough propellant to flatten a cargo freighter if it came down on one. The range safety officer at Cape Canaveral pressed his destruct button 294 seconds into the flight. A radio command armed the explosive charges. A second command fired them. The Atlas booster, the Agena upper stage, and the Mariner 1 spacecraft on top of it flashed white, then black, then fell as glittering debris into the ocean somewhere east of the Bahamas. The mission had existed as flight hardware for under 5 minutes. The financial loss was $18.5 million in 1962 money. The New York Times ran the headline, "For want of hyphen, Venus rocket is lost." Arthur C. Clarke later called the missing mark the most expensive hyphen in history, although it was technically a bar, not a hyphen, and the press conflated the two for the rest of the century. NASA reviewed the guidance code, restored the overbar, audited every other hand-copied equation in the program, and rolled the next vehicle out to Launch Complex 12. Mariner 2 lifted off from the same pad on August 27th, just 5 weeks later. It reached Venus on December 14, 1962, and became the first spacecraft to fly past another planet. The Venus race was decided by a pinstroke that wasn't there, and then by one that was. The pinstroke that wasn't there cost $18 million. NASA's next big units mistake came in 1999 when Mars Climate Orbiter burned up because two engineering teams used different measurement systems. Like and subscribe.